These payment processors, they're too powerful, man. Like, I probably agree with the things that are being taken down. They should be taken down. But I don't think it should be the payment processors that should be doing it. This is absolutely disgusting. Apparently, it's happened to itch.io. And that's just, it's getting so bad. It's getting so bad. This shouldn't be allowed to happen. They shouldn't just be allowed to dictate, like, hey, take these things down or we're not going to work with you anymore. The only payment processors on the planet, the only way that anybody could ever buy anything on the internet ever.
There is huge censorship going on in gaming right now. I'm sure a lot of you saw Steam a few days back announced that hundreds of games have been pulled from their catalog because of the efforts of a group known as Collective.
They actually tried to go after Japan also and change the Japanese culture. Absolutely disgusting.
Shout. Collective Shout is an organization that has been forcing payment processors to bully platforms into removing games they deem unfit for sale due to the themes around them. And for Steam's case, they targeted hundreds of adult games that featured like rape and incest. And a lot of people were pumping their fist like, yeah, that's good. How could you possibly be mad at that? Less degeneracy and
Does anybody fucking remember why we have adult games on Steam? Do we remember this? It's because there were crazy places on the internet. Crazy places people were going to just to play these games. And it was really fucking a lot of things up. That's why Steam had to do it. Plus, it was a market that wasn't being tapped into. But if you can tap into that kind of market, you can regulate it. How about rather than burning the strip clubs down, we convince people not to go in them? That seems like a better way to go about this. Because what you're going to get is you're going to get speakeasies.
Disgusting shit on the platform. This is a big W across the board. It's not censorship if it's things I don't like being taken down. Obviously, like every weapon out there, this is only going to be used for good. Clearly, they're only going to use this power to take down very bad, gross things. Which is the most low IQ take you could ever have. Collective Shout.
If you give them an inch, they take 1,000 miles. Every single time.
Just yesterday has now also gone after itch.io, and they have removed every single not suitable for work game from their platform. Not just rape and incest games, all adult games. We have
That's fucking insane. Yeah, that's fucking insane. Yeah, we can't allow this to happen. Yeah, we got to keep talking about this. We got to expose this shit. Especially during this Stop Killing Games initiative movement that we got going on. Yeah, go fuck yourselves.
We indexed all adult NSFW content from our browse and search pages. We understand this action is sudden and disruptive, and we are truly sorry for the frustration and confusion caused by this change. Recently, we came under scrutiny from our payment processors regarding the nature of some content hosted on itch.io. Due to a game titled No Mercy, which was temporarily available on itch.io before being banned back in April, the organization Collective Shout launched a campaign against Steam and itch.io directing concerns to our payment processors about the nature of certain content found on both platforms. So this is the playbook here. Collective Shout is a very powerful organization who somehow has a lot of leverage on payment processors. I don't know if they're just over there giving them perpetual wet willies or they got some serious dirt on like the upper echelon elites in the food chain at the payment processors. Like they got proof they're in the Epstein files or some shit. But they have got these payment processors by the nutsack. And they are squeezing the piss from their balls.
Yeah, go ahead. Keep on with that kind of energy, man, and we won't be using them. We'll find other ways. There are other payment processors out there that we can use. It's not like they actually are the only ones. They're just the ones that everybody uses worldwide. And there are some parallel economies.
So now the payment processors are LARPing as the moral authority on what people are allowed to spend the money they earned on.
Yeah, American companies, by the way, who are trying to change the way culture works all around the world. Absolutely fucking disgusting.
So they're making these sweeping censorship changes to Steam and itch.io. Steam, they made it very easy for the public to not make a big stink about it because they went after a very low-hanging fruit target that most people aren't going to be upset about. Oh no, you lost all your rape and, incest games. Boo-hoo, call the fucking wambulance. But what people don't realize is that is clearly just the first step here. Collective Shout has now already taken that, which hasn't even been like a full week, and it's translated it to wiping all adult content from itchio, a totally separate platform using the same methodology of having the payment processors threaten to leave them. Censorship is not something that is a good thing. This is not a positive thing. Yoko Taro also came forward saying, like, this.
By the way, who the fuck business is it that I use my credit card, or not my credit card, my debit card, my online money to buy heroin? Whose business is that? Is that up to the payment processors? Should it be? Like, let's just take it to the extreme. Should payment processors be stopping people from buying heroin? I'd say no. Definitely go after the heroin dealers, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad analogy. No, it's a pretty good analogy. Because it shouldn't be the payment processors that's going after these people. It should be the governments. The government should go after the heroin dealers, not the payment processor. I don't want the government doing that either.
This is pretty bad stuff, you know, that other countries can now limit everyone else's free speech. He's right. That's not great. You don't like to see that. And let's go ahead and extend this to its natural conclusion here. As Collective Shout becomes more and more successful at censoring games, other organizations will spring up and do the same for things Collective Shout maybe doesn't want to see censored. Like, who's to say, with this censorship, now that it's proven that it can be done by having the payment processors threaten to pull out of these services, if you could bully them through the payment processors, you win. That's checkmate. Who's to say an organization doesn't pop up that wants to take away all kinds of LGBTQ representation in games? And now that they have a proven formula to follow, they could easily spring up and be probably very successful. Another organization could come about where they believe that M-rated games just shouldn't exist. Games should be focused purely to appeal to a younger demographic. They shouldn't be
These are toys. Games are toys. They are for children. If you're an adult, grow up, stop playing games. And also, games should be specifically geared toward children. Get the fuck out of here with that, man. There are a lot of people who believe that. Mortal Kombat is too violent. We have to get rid of it. Same kind of energy.
Thought-provoking games, there should be no violence. There could easily be a very puritanical organization that comes forward making similar pushes for censorship. I don't know how delusional you have to be to think that somehow this is only ever going to be used against bad things.
Yeah, we're going to be here talking again about how bad this is going to get, because it's only going to get worse. It never gets better, it only gets worse.
It's not, and it's already extending way beyond what it started with for Collective Shout. They started with a very easy win on a genre of games that most people aren't really going to miss, and they have already extended that to just broad adult content from another platform, itchio. And as they continue to be more successful, more organizations are going to follow that blueprint, follow those footsteps, and be successful as well, censoring other things that maybe Collective Shout doesn't want to see censored. It's going to just be fucking pandemonium, because it is clear now that these platforms are willing to go belly up, roll over, and suck the fucking schmeat of the payment processing cartel that shackles them.
Yeah, and it's only going to get worse, and I think people are going to pull away from these giant payment processors, and they'll start doing third-party payment processing. It's probably what it's going to lead to, because it just seems like they're getting worse and worse and worse. It started with the social media content, and it's moving on to, like, actual industries.
Payment processing patriots, who all of a sudden care so deeply about morality, are able to get these platforms to censor themselves at the behest of the organizations that are strong-arming them. It's absurd, and it doesn't stop there. If you do any amount of research on Collective Shout, you'll see that it's not just like adult games. They also went after Detroit Become Human and Grand Theft Auto 5 for absolutely fucking outlandish reasons. Like, this is actual horse hockey. And another scary fact, the article I was reading on stream, which I'm going to show you clips from so you can see about their previous attempts to go after things like Detroit Become Human and GTA 5, that article that I was reading...
Yeah, it's just funny. It's funny. They'll go after something, and if it doesn't work, they move on to something else.
Got taken down 8 hours after stream, because Vice deemed it was a little too controversial, because the article wasn't super favorable to Collective Shout. So Collective Shout not only has pull in censoring games, but it looks like they can even take down some articles that are a little, you know, harsh on how they're going about their mission or what they're trying to do here. In other words, it seems virtually impossible for Steam to host any adult games depicting child abuse. Rather, Collective Shout may be targeting popular video games that depict children in scenarios where they face distress or harm, even if these depictions are intended to encourage concern and care in the player. From there, the organization may be describing these titles as featuring child abuse. In 2018, Collective Shout encouraged its supporters to sign a petition to ban Detroit Become Human for sale in Australia, claiming the game features child abuse and violence against women. The petition focused on an abusive father's violent behavior towards his housekeeper and daughter in the game. This dynamic, core to the character Kara's story arc, is intended to encourage empathy for the abused woman and child. While it's unclear whether Collective Shout is actively targeting Detroit Become Human in 2025...
Yeah, you actually can't have characters in video games with trauma because that's child abuse. That's abuse. That is, don't you know there's a genocide going on?
The removal of such a game would be akin to artistic censorship of material, discussing misogynistic abuse against female family members. Targeting the game, in other words, could be considered
Yeah, I think these people just don't like fun. They just don't like fun. They don't like good things. They don't like... It's just funny how people like this are always against the cool things that everybody likes.
Anti-feminist in intent. That doesn't really make any sense.
They are going after things as a job. That's what they're doing. They're making money off of getting things shut down.
In 2014, the organization called on Target to remove Grand Theft Auto 5 from store shelves, sharing a petition that claims the game encourages players to commit sexual violence and kill women. Collective Shout described GTA as if it were a misogynistic funhouse, stating the game lets players enact their fantasies of committing extreme violence against women, including punching women to the point of unconsciousness, killing them with a bat, gun, or machete, running them down with a car, and setting them on fire as they continue screaming. What world are we living in? What? So that all this is only reserved and acceptable if it's men. Like if you're killing men with a bat, gun, and machete, running them down with the car.
They're just doing everything that they can, saying anything they can to get something shut down because that's how they get money. That's how they make money.
And setting them on fire as they scream. These arguments are so weak and flimsy, and I think just downright detrimental to what they claim their mission is. This would basically, like these two things in conjunction, would make it so like most games won't even put women in there. So let's take the first example about like how children in like distress and harm is something that they would target and try and take down. It's why they went after Detroit Become Human. Let's extend that scope. Things like Limbo, Last of Us, Out of Sight, like these games where there are kids present and they do go through like hardship, that would be removed.
Yeah, and what about characters that seem like they maybe possibly could be kids, like Link in The Legend of Zelda, or like the kid from Shadow of the Colossus, I don't remember his name, Eiko, something like that.
Under their guidelines here. In Detroit Become Human, it's not like they're trying to glorify this type of horrible thing. It is used as
Fable, can't have Fable anymore.
A way of showcasing how bad a situation is and getting empathy from the player for what is happening to these characters. And yet they want to take it down, even though it is used to deliver positive messaging to the player. It's like they don't want any deep themes in their games, and not only that, it's like they don't want women to even be interactable in the games. So also something
I think they just don't care. I think they are literally just trying to take games down because they're boring and they hate their lives. They've got nothing else to do except do this, shut down fun things, and make money off of it.
Under their protocol here would be
Police
things like
the world.
Tomb Raider. Any game where a female is leading it wouldn't really be possible because the women in the game are going to go through distress. Like Lara Croft goes through a lot worse than what they listed for GTA 5 being a misogynistic funhouse. Lara Croft gets killed in so many different ways potentially if you fail certain things. She's constantly being hunted, hurt. It's all like pretty much no game with a female character in it could be made if Collective Shout continues to gain this much power. It's a fucking absurd notion here. God of War, the new God of War, those games couldn't be made because Kratos' son.
Yeah, but the problem is, are you going to stop using the payment processors because of something like this? Is it really going to be that big a deal that you stop using the payment processors that you have to use fucking everywhere? Is it going to be a big enough deal? No? Well, then it doesn't matter, does it? They're still going to have that power. They're going to be able to do whatever they want because the payment processors are going to listen, because they're run by woke freaks and who don't care. They have the power to change the world, to do anything that they want, and they will do as they please unless people start doing something about it.
Obviously goes through a lot there. That would be a child in a harmful and distressing situation. It would be poo-pooed by Collective Shout. They would banish that shit to the Shadow Realm. Like, their rules...
Yeah, Steam should have straight up just been like, nope, go fuck yourself. Here's the payment processors we'll be using from now on
what is and is not acceptable are just unhinged. Again, this would fundamentally, like, scrub women from video games. Like, I don't know why they're not grasping that concept. They call GTA 5 a misogynistic funhouse because you can hurt women in it and that kind of thing, which you can also do.
Yeah, are we really going to play this cat and mouse game? Because if you ban all of these things off of places like Steam, it's going to get much, much worse in the deep, dark depths of the internet.
Men. But the issue is exclusively because women can also be hurt and killed in GTA 5, just like the men can. It's not like GTA 5 is telling the player, you have to go commit these sexual violent acts against women right now. We need you as the player to score 100 sexual violent crimes against our women in the city right now. Go out there. That's the quest. Go fucking just slap 1,000 women for maximum turbo gamer points. Like, it's pretty fucking crazy. So basically, if you are going to have women in the games, the only way I see that even be possible with Collective Shout's, groundwork they're laying here, the way I understand it, is if every female in the game is immortal, God mode activated, and uninteractable outside of dialogue and cutscenes, but the female character also cannot go through anything distressing or deep, basically has to just be like a completely flat nothing burger of a character. Otherwise, it could be like too much harm that they faced or something in the game. It just seems completely antithetical to what the mission they claim to have is. Again, with how they have targeted games in the past and what they're currently doing, it feels like most game companies, in order to play ball with these demands, will probably just elect to not have female-facing games, like with a lead female protagonist, and they will probably ensure that the female characters that might appear in the game don't play a big role in it because they never know what Collective Shout might have an issue with. And since these games' budgets are so bloated these days, I don't think they'll be willing to take any kind of chances, any type of risk of their game being just like white.
And it's just gonna get worse. Yep. The corporations are gonna comply, and the indies are not going to comply. And it's just going to keep going like that into the future, and people are just going to not play the AAA games, and they're just going to crash and burn. And people are going to be only playing indie games. Actually, that's how it used to be. All games used to be indie games, because gaming used to be a niche market. It used to be for the nerds. It used to be a stigma that you were a nerd who plays video games. Now everybody plays video games. Yeah, good luck. Good luck with all that.
Wiped off of like the biggest fucking gaming platforms like Steam, so they'll probably just elect to play it safe and have any female characters just in the background with a really insignificant role. Because, again, there's no way of knowing what Collective Shout's going to try and spin.
That'll definitely be the AAA games. The indie games, they're not going to give a shit because they're already expecting to not make any money.
Comes to these games and these characters, like, again, Detroit Become Human. All of that they listed there as an issue that was literally in the game to deliver messaging on how unacceptable that shit is. It was used for empathy.
They don't care about
not
that.
a glorification or anything at all. It was actually delivering a message that...
Yeah, but if they win, they get paid. They get to exist. They get to justify their own existence. Like, see, we are working. We are getting these problematic games shut down. And then whoever's funding them will be like, all right, well, it's working. Then here's more money. Yeah, you're doing God's work.
really feels very in line with what Collective Shout claims to fight for. It is completely out of control. And let's go ahead and just continue to play a little here, a little theater of the mind. If you can successfully bully payment processors, and it's reported that Collective Shout is doing this by constantly phoning them up with like 1,000 employees or so. I don't know if that's all confirmed or not. But if you can get 1,000 people together and successfully have these payment processors threaten to leave some of the biggest platforms for gaming, think about what kind of power you can control with these payment processors. If you can just...
Yeah, and if that's all it takes, man, then we got to band together and be more than just 1,000. We need to be in the thousands hitting these people up if this is a thing that's going on.
Just have them like puppets on your strings. That is so dangerous. There is no amount of mental gymnastics you can possibly do to conjure up a justification for why a payment processor has a say in what you can spend your money on, what they will permit you to spend your doubloons on. That is a bad direction for the future, which obviously extends far beyond just video games. This is a much bigger topic, a bigger issue than just gaming. If payment processors now going to step in and basically be like the fucking, lacrosse house party guy who's like, who do you know here? No, you're not allowed in. When you're trying to spend your money on a product, we've got a huge problem. Just play with that possibility.
Yeah, just play with the possibility of you wanting to buy a thing that seems like a normal thing that you would be willing to buy, and you're not allowed to buy it because payment processor says no. What are you going to do then? You're going to go to a different payment processor, or you're going to find a different way to pay for the product that you want.
Here for a second. Like, let's say you want to buy a dildo or something, right? You want an adult sex toy. Well, what if the payment processors deem those to be obscene? We will not support any businesses that are selling these adult toys. Consumers shouldn't be able to buy these. Okay, all of a sudden you can't buy those? That's been fucking wiped out. And let's take it to something that's not even sexual. Let's say a katana or something. I want a katana for my room. I really like some of the blades from One Piece. It'd be really nice to have a replica blade. Well, turns out the payment processors deem those to be a little too dangerous and threaten to pull out of any websites that are offering katanas for sale because those are some very scary, lethal weapons. So
yeah, also, I think that payment processors shouldn't be able to stop you from buying things illegally. Like illegal things. I think that should be up to the government to investigate those things and then find you guilty in the court of law. I don't think that it should be up to payment processors to just deem, oh, well, it's not illegal, but we don't like it. So no, it's basically illegal. Yeah, get the fuck out of here with that shit.
Can't buy those anymore. It's a big issue. Payment processors should have no say in what you spend your fucking money on. Of course, that doesn't apply when it's like you trying to buy something highly illegal.
No. You were wrong, Charlie. That is up to the government, and that is up to the people to investigate you. That is not up to the payment processors to stop you from doing it.
But things like this is absurd. Like, this is completely preposterous and out of control. Anyway, I just had to yap about this a bit. That's really it.
This guy's known to buy heroin, so we're just not going to allow him to buy anything. Like, fuck you.
See ya.
Like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell for all notifications. If you fucking hate these payment processors who are just trying to dictate what they think should be illegal and legal, even though they're not the government, but they're definitely acting like it.